The Valerio I knew and saw again later was Luigi Longo. In 1972, Aldo Lampredi, Longo's top assistant and member of the Comintern, produced an official memorandum on the events of Dongo and Bonzanigo. Eventually, 24 years later, Lampredi's memorandum appeared in l'Unità in March of 1996. The official execution of Mussolini was declared to be Walter Audisio. Audisio claimed to have shot both Mussolini and the Petacci with a machine pistol of another partisan, Pietro Moretti. Lonati enters the Feltrinelli archives for a back copy of l'Unità of 1945 to prove his identity as partisan Giacomo.
Buongiorno. Giornale della guerra di liberazione.
Here is the chronicle for April 25 and 26. Here is my name, Giacomo, Bruno Lonati, and my brigades. The first person to approach the truth was the journalist historian Franco Bandini. In the mid-70s, Bandini suggested the possibility of a double execution, that Mussolini and Claretta had been killed in the morning and another execution staged in the afternoon at 4:30 in front of Villa Belmonte. Something very unforeseen must have occurred, because there is nothing more unforeseen than what has not been foreseen. Lonati reconstructs the events of 1945 with the help of his wife Carla. In 1994, they publish a book which reveals the British involvement in the death of Mussolini. In 1996, historian Renzo De Felice confirms the thesis. In a book by Pasquale Chessa, Red and Black, De Felice says, "It was easy for the British to avoid having Mussolini fall into the hands of the Americans, especially as Roosevelt had died in the meantime. The partisans did it all, but it was an agent of the British Secret Service, Italian by birth, who urged them to get on with it." The Milanese journalist Giorgio Pisano looked for witnesses around Lake Como. He published the testimony of Sandrino, one of the partisans who stood guard over Mussolini. Sandrino's refusal to speak for 50 years is an eloquent indication of the unbreakable pact of secrecy imposed by those who did not want the real story to leak, on pain of death. Around Giulino di Mezzegra and Bonzanigo di Mezzegra, in those hours and days, there was a wall of silence. The truth could not come out. My brother George attacked this fortress from all sides, trying to infiltrate it any way he could. Pisano obtained the testimony of an eyewitness, a woman, Dorina Mazzola, who lived in a house across from where Mussolini spent his last night. She claimed to have been able to see and overhear events. Field Marshal Alexander launches his final attack against the Nazi fascists in northern Italy. Partisans liberate one city after the other. April 25, partisans rise up in Milan. That night, Mussolini leaves for Como, followed by his ministers, heading for the Valtellina redoubt. Disguised in a German uniform, he is arrested in Dongo, April 27, around 3 p.m., by partisan Bill, second in command of the 52nd Garibaldi Brigade. Mussolini tells those present that he is being pursued by men of the British Secret Service who intend to kill him. Already in September of 43, when Mussolini was liberated from his Gran Sasso prison, having been arrested by King Victor Emmanuel III, July 25th, Mussolini named as his worst enemies Winston Churchill and King Victor Emmanuel. For 20 years, Mussolini had a conflicting relationship with Winston Churchill, one of diffidence and admiration. Mussolini envied and feared the English statesman, whom he dared attack only after Hitler had defeated France in the May of 1940. He had been publicly praised by Churchill as an antidote to Bolshevism. When Mussolini goes to war and bombs London, Churchill